Hello, welcome to the Waste of Web Space podcast, episode 79.
Starring
Jimbo.
And Fisher.
And how are you doing, Fisher? All good?
I'm very good, thank you. How about you?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. We have entitled this episode 79 obviously, TubTrumping, We Get Locked Down. Now, this is kind of for a couple of reasons. First of all, of course, it's, first of all, because of Trump and the fact he's no longer going to, well, looks like he's no longer going to be president. I mean, they might have a fight to get him out, but, so TubTrumping. And then the second reason, because we were back in lockdown since the last episode, so we wanted to go with We Get Locked Down, and this was from your idea, weren't it, Fisher, for this one? So you even you even feature in this week's song slightly, if you want to watch it.
Well,
you listen to it.
Unless have you done a video for it as well?
I've not done a video for it. No, I've not got round to doing that. But are we ready then? Episode 79, TubTrumping, We Get Locked Down. We'll be singing in our kitchens. We'll be singing. We get locked down, but we get out again. But then they're gonna lock us down. We get locked down, but we get out again. But then they're gonna lock us down. We get locked down, but we get out again. But then they're gonna lock us down. We get locked down, but we get out again. But then they're gonna lock us down. Oh, Bojo, Bojo, Bojo.
Can't have a whiskey drink, you can't have a cider drink, you can't have a long drink, you can't have a vodka
We
drink.
can't go to the pub to remind us of the good times, and we can't go to the pub to remind us of the best times. Oh, Bojo, Bojo, Bojo. We get locked down, but we get out again. But then they're gonna lock us down. We get locked down, but we get out again. But then they're gonna lock us down. We get locked down, but we get out again. But then they're gonna lock us down. We get locked down, but we get out again. But then they're gonna lock us down. So there you go. Did you enjoy featuring in that one, Fisher?
That was very good. It's a good job you didn't do a video, because I think I was in pyjamas when I recorded that and sent it on to you on Sunday morning last week, was it?
Yeah. But anyway, that's how it kind of works anyway, because obviously we've got all this going on with the American election, and then we're locked down again as well. How are you finding it so far? Are you tearing your hair out yet?
No, it's a bit like I've teared part of my beard out. Look, you can see that.
Yeah.
I left myself with a goatee.
So
I'm
what?
trialing that.
So what's the purpose for the goatee then?
Well, to be fair, it's going to be Movember, isn't it? So I'm going to shave the goatee part of it. I'm just going to leave the moustache as of next week.
Okay.
Think,
so is this
is
this your breaking news?
Yes, maybe, yeah, a little bit.
There you go.
Well, I just think it was a simpler time, wasn't it? Sort of 5-10 years ago, when you could just enjoy growing a moustache in November. Do you want to sponsor me, Jimbo?
I'll sponsor you. Yeah. So
Okay,
I'm going to sponsor you to not shave.
No, just to have a moustache.
Oh right, okay.
It's not for charity or anything.
Imagine how much money someone like Nigel Mansell or Des Lineman have made.
Yeah,
if they just did it all year round. Yeah. They'd have made a fortune.
So that's been a bit of breaking news. Another bit of breaking news is I've got some buns, Jimbo.
Oh yeah.
My wife Vicky's made. I'm not sure if you can see those. The buns, but they've also got kind of like little tools on top of them. So one's got a hammer, a nail, and some ladders. The other one's got a spanner, a drill, nail, and a saw.
When you said I've got some buns with some tools on top of them, I thought you were going to have a Boris Johnson and a Donald Trump bun.
Unfortunately not. There's one for me and one for you, but unfortunately, due to lockdown restrictions, we can't see each other, so I'm just going to have to eat them both.
This seems very unfair.
Well, that's the way it is nowadays. I've got to try and save the NHS, haven't I?
Yeah. So anyway,
what's been happening with you, Jimbo?
Well, it's obviously Remembrance Sunday. Give a quick shout out to that. So we need to make sure we've got our poppies on. I can see you've got yours on. So my breaking news is, so my little girl Ada, 3 years old, she's at nursery now. She's made me this. She's at nursery now. It's a weekend. She should be looking after it a weekend. Not sending her off to nursery. Not right now.
Okay.
But yeah, so she's made me a poppy to wear. So I've got a Remembrance poppy Sunday I mean, I can't believe they're teaching about the war to 3-year-olds.
Well, you've got to teach them early, haven't you? Got to teach them early. Yeah, can't forget this sort of stuff.
I think they're telling them. I think rather than talking about the tanks and the explosions and everything, they're talking about and the Blitz. I think they talk about how it's about remembering people, which obviously what Remembering Sunday is all about. Unless we forget, we're remembering those today as well, aren't we, Fisher? And we'll talk a bit more about that later on.
We are indeed.
So, are we moving forward?
Yeah, should we have drinks?
Let's have drinks. Okay. So, what have you got then, Fisher?
I've got some Denver Milk Stout that I got from the Asda. It's made by. Well, it's a bit topical as well because it's a little bit. Well, I suppose Denver, obviously placed in America, so obviously ties in a bit to the American election. Guess what the name of the company is called that makes it? Possibly appropriate for Trump. Made by Badco.
I thought it was like something like Sore Loser or something.
Yeah, interestingly, I was looking at the back of it in terms of where it's brewed in can. It says specifically brewed for Asda. The can is black and white.
Yeah.
Although the former president says I prefer the white. I prefer the white. It's made at Dishforth Airfield in North Yorkshire, which I'm fairly sure is an RAF place. So, as obviously in honour of Remembrance Day, we're drinking something that has been made at an RAF airfield. So,
right.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. But also, shouldn't be actually working at this point, instead of spending your time brewing. I mean, so our armed forces are meant to be there to protect the nation, not. Have we got enough? We've got enough milk stout. We've got enough milk stout. Yeah, I think we've got milk stout. So that's what I've got. How about yourself?
I have got. So I went to great effort for my drink this week. So I have got a bottle of Silverback. Can you see that all right? Silverback Blonde, and it's from the Guerrilla Brewing Co., which is in Mexborough. And they are a newish. I'll probably say about maybe less than 6 months old as a brewery, as a company. So they started kind of at a difficult time, really. But they're based in Mexborough, just by the canal, and they've got like a nice outdoor seating area, obviously, which can't be utilised at the minute. But in the summer, it's going to be a nice place to go for a drink. But yeah, one of them, well, maybe a couple of them, but one of the people who run this brewery are a Wednesday fan. So a big shout out to them as well, because we're Wednesday fans too. We probably need to mention that later too, don't we, Fisher? The old Sheffield Wednesday.
We're Wednesday fans.
Yeah. It's been a good week for us, haven't we?
Big news. With our minus 12 point deduction has been cut in half, hasn't it?
It has.
Only minus 6 now, so I think we're into positive points.
Well, we're actually off the bottom of the table, would you believe?
Yeah, we're up to 23rd.
Yeah, which is good, because guess what? We're above United because they're 24th. No, they're not. Are they? No, there's only 20. No, there's only that. Doesn't even work either. They're still above us because there's only 20 teams in Premiership.
Yeah, well.
Well, that didn't work, did it? Never mind. So, but yeah, Silverback Blonde, and I did have a bottle of not this one, but their other drink yesterday. Which they've got a few different ones, but they had an IPA, 6% IPA called Kong, and I had that one yesterday. I've even got a glass so that we can look at the colour, because normally I've been a bit lazy and just drinking straight out of the bottle. But Silverback Blonde, 3.8%, so you could have a fair few of these without getting too wobbly, I suppose. Yeah, there you go. Looks very good, doesn't it?
It looks very nice, that. Have you been drinking much during lockdown?
I've had a little bit during lockdown, yeah.
All right, fair enough.
It's only been a few days, but yeah, it's worth, yeah. So yeah, good.
I thought you were going to tell me about your other podcast, Jimbo. I know what you've been doing.
Yeah, I've got another podcast for you.
I know. I've seen it.
So, because I enjoy having a beer and, we're back in lockdown and stuff, I thought I'd start a little... remember you did your blog back in about 2012? You tried to do it every single day.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do something similar, but do it as an audio blog, because I'm not very good at writing, and I can't bother to write.
All right.
So, probably about... and it's got a bit of music in it as well, using the new Anchor with Music platform, so you can get a podcast onto Spotify that features music as well. But it's a bit about beer, it's a bit about just general chat, a couple of funny news stories. Of course, like to give the Waste of Web Space podcast a mention every now and again. So yeah, that's a weekly a daily thing I try and do through the week, see how long I can keep it going. It's a bit of a challenge through lockdown. Up to episode 7 already, I think, so if you want to have a listen to that, check it out on Spotify, Alan Audio.
Why would I want to listen to that, Jimbo? Why would I want to listen to my husband cheating on me
you're
with their own podcast?
You're welcome on it as well, Fisher.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
I've
maybe,
mentioned you a few times. Not in a good way, but I've mentioned you.
Because I can't wait to ditch this podcast and get on something else. So yeah, let's go for the other one instead. Alien Audio Till I Die.
There we go.
So there we go. Let's move on.
So, what do you want to do first? Which bit? We've got a couple of running up bits first, haven't we? That we need to get onto. So, are we going to do? What do we want to do first? I mean, it's a tough choice, isn't it? Do you want to do sex tape, or do you want to do joke we should have done last week?
I was gonna say, should we do show and tell? But never mind.
Okay.
Should we talk about sex type?
Go on then.
John Leslie's sex type.
So
is a featured sex type this week.
So just to remind people who might be just tuning in for the first time, or maybe didn't catch us last week or whatever, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago Hulk Hogan's sex tape, didn't we? Just in one of our quizzes, and because of that, we ended up getting quite a lot of hits, didn't we? So we thought, let's mention a sex tape each week and see if we can increase our listenership and viewership just by mentioning a sex tape each week and then tagging that sex tape. As it happens, we mentioned Kim Kardashian's last week. And done too well, and I think the reason is that she's so popular. Yeah, I think the reason she's so popular, so everyone's seen it already, so no one was really searching for it. Whereas in the past when we've done things like Hulk Hogan, and we even mentioned Paul Jewell's sex tape back in the day, didn't we? For some reason, I don't know why we mentioned that, but we did. There was a rumor of an alleged sex tape featuring Paul Jewell, but that seems to still get some of our web hits, doesn't it? For some reason, so we need to be a bit more obscure, don't we?
We do. So this week we've gone for John Leslie. According to Wikipedia, John Leslie is a former presenter of British TV programmes Blue Peter and This Morning.
I bet it is blue and all.
Exactly. He created a blue sex type, I believe, which featured himself receiving oral sex from his nurse girlfriend, Abby Titmus. I'm not sure whether she was trying to give him some medical assistance there. Who knows?
Is that how she became famous?
Straight out of him. I think that's pretty much how she became famous. Yeah, John Leslie's girlfriend. I think she appeared with him in court quite a lot when he was charged with various offences. And he also filmed Titmus performing and receiving oral sex from another woman, or with another woman. So there we go. I actually heard someone mention Abby Titmus a couple of weeks ago, and they got their name wrong. And I only heard this in the background. And I just almost burst out laughing uncontrollably at what they call Abby Titmus. Do you want to guess what they referred to Abby Titmus as?
I'm guessing they got it horribly wrong.
Well, having the name Abby Titmus is quite embarrassing in the first place, isn't it, really? And your surname Titmus. Well, this person called Abby Tittimus. So I thought, mate, it's probably one of the few ways you can make that word even worse than it is already. So that's John Leslie and Abby Titmus' sex type for you.
There we go. See if that gets us any hits. So it is now time for joke we should have done last week. Now, last week in our Halloween special, I mentioned, I did a great joke actually. I mentioned about a lady who got into trouble with her neighbours for having a display, so like a sort of like display in her front garden of skeletons. In a strip club, so that was like her Halloween display. So I mentioned at the time that neighbours were complaining because that skeleton strip club display was giving the neighbour's husband a boner. But then what I also should have said is that she tried to defend herself, the neighbour who had created this skeleton strip club display, saying actually it wasn't a display, it was actually a real strip club. The problem is that the real strip club was struggling for staff because a lot of the dancers had to self-isolate because they got symptoms of COVID-19, so they were down to a skeleton staff.
Hey!
There you go. Speaking of Halloween displays, I went down to Silkstone last week with my daughter. We went to see the skeleton, the sort of pumpkin scarecrow displays that people have put out in Silkstone. Around the sort of primary school area and up the sort of main high street, and it was brilliant, really good. And there was even, and I tweeted it and shared it from our Instagram account as well, the Wasted Web Space account, that there was a Boris Johnson scarecrow sort of thing in a spider's web surrounded by strands of coronavirus, which I thought was a very good and creative display. So a big shout out to Silkston for that great effort last week.
Yeah, well done. Obviously, it wasn't that lifelike because the scarecrow was nowhere near as scruffy as Boris Johnson is.
Okay, so now it's time for show and tell.
Now it's time for show and tell. My show and tell item this week is one of these. I'm not sure if you've heard of these, Jimbo. It's called an iPad.
Right, okay.
It's quite an old iPad, this actually, and it's my iPad.
Yep.
Well, actually, it might be Work's iPad, but it's an iPad that I've got. I'm the custodian of. And what I want to say is, what did I use this iPad for last week? There are two options.
It's not anything to do with John Leslie and Avi Titmus's sex tape, is it?
Well, it's funny you should mention that actually, because this does have a camera on it. No, it's nothing to do with that. So is it? And I've got the details, two scenarios written down on my iPad as well. And what's all that about? What's about joined up communications? Is it that using this iPad, I appeared in the audience on last week's Mock the Week? If you press the pause on iPlayer, you can see me on the Zoom screen at about 1 minute and 15 seconds. Or is it, using this iPad, I hosted a Zoom quiz last week. It featured a round where I rapped the lyrics to various well-known hip-hop songs.
Right, okay. So, first of all, the first one then, what did you say it was Mock the Week?
Mock the Week.
And they've got like a sort of, they've got like a video audience now, is that right?
They have a video audience, although they did also have people sat in the audience who were socially distanced, but was also a video audience element to it.
Yeah, it's clear. I mean, have you seen what WWE do? I think they call it the Thunderdome. So now they've got like an arena that's surrounded by screens of sort of fans. But haven't there been some issues with this where they've had like people swearing or stuff like that at the camera or all sorts of different things going off, haven't they? I think.
Presume so, and also I think one of the slight problems with WWE doing is that the microphones pick up the contestants talking to each other, it's drowned out by all the crowd noise.
Yeah.
So I think that causes a bit of a problem.
Right. Also, how did this happen? How did you manage to get? I'm gonna look. my pop is here, but it's not really attachable, so I'm gonna put it down now.
Okay.
But there you go. There's Ada's poppy. I'll hold it up again later when we talk about Remembering Sunday. But how did you get onto this show then? Because there must have been a bit of a process, like a sort of I don't know, some sort of like process that you had to apply, and it might have took a while. I don't know how did that happen.
I saw an advert on Twitter saying that Dara O'Brien retweeted. It said, if you want to apply for tickets for Mark the Week, you can click on this link, which also includes the Zoom audience. So I clicked on that. And I often apply for tickets to various BBC shows, particularly if they're recorded around here. And I've been to a few radio recordings of radio programmes that have been on around here. And with it being taking place via Zoom, I've applied for quite a lot more tickets and that sort of stuff. I sort of didn't think anything of it, but I got an email through for the second week saying you can appear as a guest on this recording. Well, not as a guest. In the audience, obviously. I got a bit excited when it said guest and I read that.
You thought you might be on the panel.
Yeah. 78 episodes of Wasted Web Space podcast, then yeah, I can get on there eventually. No, you can appear in the audience. So yeah, went onto Zoom, clicked on it and joined and just sort of sat there and watched the live recording of it.
Great. So you was on there for a little bit. How many seconds of screen time did you get?
Probably just under one. No, probably about 1 or 2 seconds. It kind of flashed to the Zoom screen that said there's a Zoom audience, and I mean, it took me a while to kind of get into character for this, but I went like this and waved, and that was it.
What were you wearing?
It was just a normal. It was a shirt similar to this. It was actually a white one. No poppy, and yeah, just normal clothes. I didn't bother with the headphones or microphone because obviously I was just purely participating as an audio.
And has this been has it been broadcast yet?
Yeah, it was on. So not last Thursday, but a week before that.
So when was it recorded then?
It was recorded on Tuesday night, ready for the Thursday.
Oh, so it's that quick
broadcast.
turnaround then.
Yes, it's a couple of days.
I suppose they have to
turnaround,
be, don't they? Because they have to be topical, don't they, for the news that's going off at the time as well.
Yeah, which obviously must have been quite difficult for me in this week's episode.
Yeah.
But that said, to be fair, I mean, if you're trying to do stuff about the American election at that point, you didn't really know one anyway, so it didn't make any difference.
Okay, and then the second one then. If you are claiming that you did a rap round for your Zoom quiz, and you did some rapping to some songs and they had to guess what it were, why have you not done any rapping for the start of our podcast? You know that I make a big effort each week to do a new song a parody song for the start of our episodes. Why has this never been done by you before? Why have you never rapped for us before?
You've never asked me.
I'm asking you now.
Well, if you want in future, if this is true, I can consider doing a bit of rapping for you.
I think it's one genre we've not covered yet. We've done quite a few things, haven't we? We did a bit of Britpop today, I suppose, didn't we? With TubTrumping, but we've done 80s. We had a bit of dance music, didn't we, at one point? If you remember, Barnard Castle in the Sky.
Barnard Castle in the Sky. Yeah.
We've done a bit of everything. So I think rap's something we haven't really covered. Rap and hip hop I haven't really covered yet for the start of our episode. So
I can do both as well as grime.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
get yourself.
No, you've not asked me yet.
Well, okay.
So I haven't done it.
In that case, if this is going to be believable that you did this rapping, then I want to see some rapping right now. I want to see an example of what you did. So if you're saying you've got any examples on the iPad, then I want like a couple of lines of rap.
No, I don't really think that's appropriate, to be honest, Jimbo. Although if it is true, I will play a bit of rapping, or alternatively, I will show you the screenshot of me on Mock of the Week.
Okay.
So, but I don't want to rap now. It's Remembrance Day. Have a bit of respect, Jimbo.
I'm not asking you to rap about anything inappropriate.
That is what the vast majority of rap songs are, unfortunately.
Right. Okay. Right. I'm going to make a decision then. I reckon the truth there is that you were on Mock the Week. But then again, I start to think you would have shouted more about this and made more of a fuss about it. I've not seen any tweets from you. Maybe you were keeping it secret so that you could do this feature, though. So in that case, I am going to say it was Mock the Week.
Okay. And you would be wrong.
So that means you're going to have to show me some rap now and show me some proof.
Okay. So on this iPad, do you want to actually? Well, the round was actually called. Well, we've got someone on the Zoom quiz that we do on a Friday night who's quite a big fan of rap and hip hop music, and he complained when we do the music round that all the music is rubbish. It's just normal rock music, indie music, pop music, whatever.
Is that your dad again?
I know it's terrible, isn't it? So I thought for the
couldn't
round
find anything to rhyme with Schweppes.
Exactly. It was. I thought that what we would do is I would rap the lyrics to various well-known rap songs. I don't know if you maybe want to play along with this one. So I think this one is from 2009. I think this one, and it's a song by a UK hip-hop artist who is also an MBE. I think. So I'm going to play this for you.
Okay.
Wants to be famous, nobody wants to be nameless, aimless, people act shameless, trying to live like entertainers, want a fat crib with the acres, so they spend money that they ain't made yet, got a Benz on the tip that they ain't paid yet, spend a check in the West End on the weekend, got no money by the end of the weekend, they don't care.
I think I know it.
Starving Louis V paid for by your Truby, it's a joke like a bad episode of Hollywood, can't get it up with a cover gun. So they got back credit living on a day rate, living in a debt where they still don't get yet, because they're too busy living the high life, the night life, loving it high and living it larger, they all say.
I know exactly who that is.
Okay, who was it? It was me.
Oh, was it? Oh,
yeah.
No, I was going to say, is it Wagner from the X Factor? No.
No, probably not.
It's Dizzy Fisher, of course.
It's Dizzy. My old mate, Dizzy Rascal.
Very good.
MBE. Do you know what the song was called?
Dirty Money, I think. Dirty Cash. Dirty Cash, yeah, of course. Very good, Fisher. You think you deserve another round of applause for that one? Well done. Are we going to get to you any more in the coming weeks?
We can possibly do that. I've got another 4 or 5 songs recorded on there.
Let's keep them back for a few future weeks.
Yeah, what I would say is that the language that they use in some of these songs is nothing short of disgraceful. I mean, some of the words I have to say to competently complete the raps I was unhappy with it.
Oh, piss
there
off.
we go.
Piss off, Fisher. Probably shouldn't have said that at, what time are we on? 10 to 1. Bit naughty this time of day. Piss.
We're already
it's not
drinking,
too bad,
aren't
is
we?
it? Yeah, exactly. I chose a borderline swear word, knowing that what time it was. Anyway, it's time. We're going to look at the... it's my go, isn't it? So I've got to get on with things. So, now, we pointed out last week, didn't we, in our headline of the week, an event that had been cancelled due to COVID, and it was UK Sausage Week, weren't it? Which is featured in our early episodes of the Waste of Web Space podcast. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, you did a quiz about sausages, didn't you?
We did, yeah.
Actually, talking about headline of the week, we missed an opportunity. We identified a headline of the week, I think, didn't we?
Did we?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you want to. Do you want to ask the first question? I'll jump back on with the headline of the week when I found it.
No worries. So what we're doing then is I've got a quiz for you, Fisher, based on UK events, and we're talking UK events here, cancelled by COVID-19. Now, it's up to you to tell me which of these are real events and which ones I've made up, okay? There's 12 altogether, all right? So which ones of these are real, which ones are fake, and they are UK events. I could probably do an international version of this quiz as well, by the way. So they're events held in the UK. They might be international events, as in many people from outside of the UK may have attended them, but these are all events hosted in the UK. Is that all right? So,
yep. Can I just jump in with the headline of the week, actually?
Go
because
for
it sort of links into sausages, which we just mentioned. And the headline of the week was from the BBC World News last Monday or Sunday, I can't remember which it was. Monday, I think, 2nd of November. And the headline said, Russian oligarch nicknamed the Sausage King killed in sauna with crossbow. There are just so many things about that ask more questions, really, aren't there? Well, that's the story of, funnily enough, a wealthy Russian person who got killed in mysterious circumstances.
We need to find out why he's called the Sausage King as well.
Exactly. Anyway, let's carry on.
All right then. So here are your events. Then you need to know. Basically, tell me if these events are real or fake. And I've got a bit of background on each one as well. Okay. So first of all, Nude Fest in Somerset. The UK's biggest naturist festival includes a 5k and 10k run. Includes crafts, fitness, archery, yoga, body painting, live music, even a climbing wall, walks, and of course, what is it about nudists that means they feel the need they have to go on a space opera? I don't know what it is, but anyway, space opera races as well. So, what do you reckon? Real or fake?
Well, I think, it's quite popular nudism, I think, isn't it? And they do have these gatherings as well. There was a nudist sports day a couple of years ago that ended in disaster when one bloke got pulled along during the relay. I mean, I once went to a nudist event and everyone stood up when the guest actor came on, and then they sat down, and basically it just sounded like they were giving them a huge round of applause when that happened. So is that real or fake? I think it's in Somerset. Because I was actually reading something about a water park that have a specialist nude event on sort of like on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning or something. Everyone gets together for a few hours and swims around without any clothes on once a year. So I think that's real. I guess it's real.
You are correct. That is the naked truth. That is a real one. Have you ever been nudist beaches or anything like that yourself?
Yeah, but I was wearing clothes. No, I haven't.
But yes, I haven't. No, it's not for me. But it's a real one. Yep. So the chairman of the nudist event actually was allegedly very disappointed at being told he'd got to cancel the event this year. They'd gone to great lengths to make sure social distancing could be observed, and he spent a lot of money. He's quoted as saying, "It's disappointing the local council asked us to cancel this year, yet many of their own events are continuing. The barefaced cheeks of it," is what they said. So,
But well, I suppose it's not the barefaced cheeks of it that meant it was called off. Would you be allowed to wear a mask?
Exactly. Yeah. Good point. Were you allowed to? Apparently, you were allowed to wear shoes and socks. Which
Really?
again is not exactly 100% naked, is it? But anyway,
I suppose my the way to make this safe would be to wear a full hazmat suit. You would have thought. But then that might just defeat the object of being naked.
Yeah. Anyway, next, the Wilmslow Knitting Convention. This annual knitting convention in Wilmslow, not too far from Macclesfield, usually features various prize categories, including hats, cardigans, jumpers, baby clothes, but also the very popular and tongue-in-cheek category, willy warmers. Real or fake?
Now, I can't claim a joke that you once told, which is that I once tweeted about going through a place called Wilmslow, and you made some kind of reference to the fact that it was named as one of your relatives who wasn't particularly very quick at doing things. Wilmslow, yeah. So, obviously that probably works better if you know that your surname is Wilmshurst.
Yeah.
As opposed to just pure, your name's not just Jimbo.
No.
So, a knitting competition. I mean, knitting is quite popular, but I'm not sure why. Would Wilmslow be a particular place for doing knitting?
Well, it's
I
near
don't think
Macclesfield.
it would.
Macclesfield's known for in the club called the Silkmen. Silkmen, is it? Macclesfield Football Club, and that's because of their sort of previous cotton industries and things like that. Maybe, I don't know.
Thought they were nowadays called the bankrupt men, weren't they? Because they've recently closed down and gone out of business. Obviously the cotton mills and stuff are quite popular that area of the UK, I suppose, isn't it? But knitting, no, I'm going to say it's fake. I'm going to say false.
There you go. Yep. There's no annual knitting convention in Wilmslow, but we did have a look, and they do have lots of like mini knitting groups and societies still. They are quite a close knit community down there. Anyway, number 3, the Haliton bottle kicking contest. There are no rules to the bottle kicking, except there is no eye gouging, no strangling, and no use of weapons. There are 3 bottles, and the bottles are tossed in the air 3 times, signalling the start of the competition. The aim of the game is each team's got to move the bottles across a stream by any means possible, and it can get quite rough and violent.
Right, okay. A lot of places do have these very strange traditions, don't they? I mean, there's in the cheese rolling place in Gloucestershire, something like that.
Don't worry, you're not going to ruin any of the quizzes here. There is a cheese rolling one, and there's also like a straight. It's like a street game of football or something, isn't it? Where they've got to like get a ball or some sort of not quite a football. But they've got to get something from one place to another. I can't remember where that is, but they're not included in this quiz, by the way. But yeah, they're all. Yeah.
Isn't there a place in Kettering where they try and use a hose pipe to squirt a barrel across a river that's suspended on a zip wire? As well, these crazy things we do in Britain. So bottle. No, I think bottle kicking. I think that's false. I don't think that's happening.
I've just realised I gave you the wrong sound effects, didn't I, for the last question? You actually got it right, but I played the wrong sound effect. But well done. No, you got that one wrong, though, because it is actually a real competition. So the Haliton bottle kicking contest is real. Regular competitors and attendees of the event were disappointed the organisers didn't protest more against the council's decision to ban the event, saying that they bottled it.
Hey.
Next.
Can I just say, I would like a recount. I mean, we don't know. People are giving answers. What's the answer? No one knows. No one knows. They said I was wrong. It turns out I was right. I was right all along. I was right on that second question, but it was marked as incorrect. People don't know what's happening.
Well,
and if they'd have stopped the count after 2 questions, I would have got 100% correct. I'd have been right.
Hash brown eating championships in Carlisle, where competitors from around the country, some from around the world, meet to have a hash brown eating competition. There are also hash brown baking competitions, with competitors attending to showcase their best hash brown recipes, including chili cheese hash browns and bacon flavour.
Hash brown... I don't see that hash browns are that much of a skillful product to make, really. I mean, apologies to any people who make hash browns out there. But it's a bit lower down in terms of... If you go to a butcher's, I'd say it's very much a... not as much of a desirable product.
You got to have them. You can't not have hash brown on your proper breakfast, though, can you? It's one of the main parts of it for me. One of my favourite parts is the hash brown.
What's a hash brown though? Just potatoes and onions, isn't it? I think.
No, just potatoes, I think, but sort of done in a certain way. But you can kind of add different blends to them and stuff. But I've always thought, like they've got potato vans in town centres and stuff like that sell sort of baked potatoes. I've always thought I could have like a hash brown company van where you can kind of like put different toppings on your hash brown sandwiches and stuff like that. I think it's just like a chip butty, really, isn't it?
I suppose so, yeah. But I just think that priority goes to sausages and black pudding and all that sort of stuff. Pork pies, maybe. Hash browns, not so. So I'm going to say that's false.
And you would be correct. Well done. Yep, completely made up that one. Next then, the Festival of Worm Charming. This competition takes place... This competition is nothing to do with the nudist camp either, by the way.
Yeah.
This competition takes place in Cheshire and is a contest to see how many worms you can encourage to come to the surface using any technique you see fit. This can include charming, grunting and fiddling. Again, nothing to do with Nude Fest. Are the most popular methods to attract earthworms from the ground. The event started in 1980 and the world record for how many can get out, for one person to be able to get out of the ground is 567 worms.
So what the time scale for that is? How fast you got 500 and...
Not sure. I'm guessing it's possibly a day, but then festivals can be a bit longer, can't they? So who knows? Maybe a couple of days. Why are you going to try and beat it? Something to do during lockdown, isn't it?
Well, you're not allowed to leave your house, are you? I've not got worms under my carpet.
I think the best way is to kind of replicate rain, isn't it? Because that's why they come to the surface.
I think so,
yeah. Sort of patter on the grass or whatever.
Yeah. Would a worm charm it? No, I don't think that's... Even for people who are a bit unusual and have got a strange interest, I don't think worm charming would be one of them. So, or particularly a festival of it. So I'm going to say that's fake.
No, it's real, that one, and I did a lot of research into this event and got kind of a bit distracted from planning the rest of this quiz because I ended up watching like loads of YouTube videos and doing lots of I ended up going down a proper wormhole, but in the end I managed to get finished and get the quiz done. But no, that's real, that one. Next then, a shin kicking contest. This takes place in the Cotswolds. The contest, which has taken place since 1612, sees two competitors kicking each other after filling their trouser legs with straw.
Sounds like quite a shindig.
Hey!
So, I do apologise if you've already got that joke planned for reading out after the answer's revealed. Or not, no, okay. Fill the shin straw and kick them. No, that's a bit strange, isn't it? I mean, what's the point in doing that? You're potentially going to break each other's legs doing that, aren't you? So, I think that must be fake. Got to be fake.
You're wrong again. It's real, that one. And I do know actually someone who entered this event a few years ago. They'd been wanting to do it for years and they were really nervous. So I said, look, don't worry. You've got this. You know what you're doing. Go out there and break a leg. And funny enough, that didn't fill him with confidence. Anyway, next. The Twyford Toilet Flushing Championships. An event in Twyford, organised by the popular bathroom suite manufacturer as a marketing event, has become really popular over the last 5 years, that even international participants have been entering. Competitors are timed flushing 20 toilets as quickly as possible.
It's not difficult, is it, flushing a toilet? You just have to press the flush down on it.
Yeah, but they're in a row, and I don't know if the chains, I don't know if they're multiple flush mechanisms, whether it's push button, whether it's like a handle, whether it's a chain, it could be different methods and so on. But your time between, it's obviously you've got to sprint as well to do this. But they have different categories. They've got male, female categories. They've got all sorts of different things.
Yeah, I mean, I have actually heard about it. I think they get a lot of celebrities there. In fact, one of the fastest in terms of doing this, particularly the old style pull down ones, was Diana Ross. Apparently she got an incredible chain reaction.
Hey! Very good. That's just a that's I mean, come on, Fish, that's just a bog standard joke.
So no, we'll not do toilet jokes. Let's not do them. I suppose it could be a metaphor for life, for some people's lives, in terms of how fast some of their things go down the toilet and run around. But I think because it's probably quite environmentally not good, How would he plumb them in as well? Surely.
Well,
As he can do is.
I think it, I mean, with it being Twyford, it's possibly at some sort of show centre or something like that.
Yeah.
And I imagine that for an event like that, like you say, it'd be bad press if it was environmentally unfriendly. So I imagine it's all kind of into a system that kind of goes back in
Recycles
circles,
it, yeah.
possibly. I don't think, obviously, in that case, they don't want people using the toilets properly, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah, the competition isn't it? How quick can you take a dump and then flush all of these 20 toilets?
Well, he just recycles into the next one and push it down. Then no, I'm gonna say that's false. I think that's fake.
Well done, yeah, that's fake. You're right, that'd be a crap event. Number 8, Pantomime Dame Olympics. So this event is held in Tokyo annually, features people dressed as panto dames taking part in Olympic-style events, including track and field events, and events such as rowing, cycling and rugby. Usually held in the summer months, it acts as an opportunity for panto dames to promote their upcoming winter pantos.
Okay. Is it true? Oh, no, it isn't. No. Did we tell the joke a couple of weeks ago about the pantomime dames who marched to London?
We did. Well, I don't know if we told the joke, but I remember the story about it, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know I got a joke.
Oh, yeah, because we said that it didn't work, so they'd have to do it again then, won't they?
Yeah, that was a joke. I can't remember whether we actually put it in the podcast or not, whether I remembered to say it. Pantomime Dame Olympics, I mean, that sort of stuff is popular, isn't it? I mean, there is like a mascot type Olympics now. We talk about mascots quite a lot on this podcast due to various reasons. Could pantomime? Yeah, I think pantomime dames have got to do something when they're not appearing in panto. So I think this could be real. I think it's true.
Well, they're not appearing in pantos. They're just spending the time getting ready for the pantos.
I suppose so. Yeah, like shaving the legs and all that sort of stuff, and yeah, doing the makeup really badly.
So you think this is real?
I think it's real. Yeah.
No, I've made that one up. It'd be a nightmare, that, Fisher. Just imagine the relay races with the crowd shouting, "He's behind you!" And they're going, "No, they're not. No, they're not. They'd never get the race finish, would they?" Anyway, next. So the World Egg Throwing Championships. Various games feature at this event, including target throwing games, Russian egg roulette, egg relays, and a competition where teams have to construct an egg launching contraption. The main event is the Egg Throwing Championship, which sees 2-person teams throwing eggs to each other. The winning team will be the pair that can throw the egg at the furthest without dropping or breaking it.
Could it be to promote farms and free range eggs and all that sort of stuff?
Again, it'd be a bit of a waste of eggs, though.
They would, yeah. I'm not denying that. I don't know. Is it true? Is my mind getting a bit scrambled? I don't know. I think this is fairly plausible. Some of the events in there. Surely, do you think in terms of making a contraption to fire the eggs? It'd be good just to get one of those face masks that everyone's wearing now.
Oh yeah, and just fling them
straight back and bang, and I think that might work okay. But I think that, particularly having team events where you throw the eggs to each other, I think that's potentially true. So I'm going to say that's genuine. So I think that's true.
Well done. I do know someone who went to this event as well, actually, as a spectator, and I warned them that they probably need to wear something suitable, like a hat, cagoule, but, they didn't listen to me. They were saying, "Oh, I'll be all right," and of course, they ended up with egg on the face, so... Next then, the World Cull Carrying Championships, okay? This event takes place in Gawthorpe, near Ossett. I don't know if you've ever been there before, not too far away from here, and consists of men and women carrying big bags of coal a distance of over 1,000 metres, and there's also a children's race, which is 150 metres.
You'd have thought children would be well up for this, I mean, because that's keeping the old mining tradition, so you used to have kids working down the mine, didn't they? So yeah. They should have to do the proper work.
Now they're not allowed to. They're not allowed to get involved in the 1,000-metre races because they're only minors.
Hey. Where was it held again? Did you say? Sorry.
It was held in Gawthorpe near Ossett.
That's a massive. You'd expect it being a massive former mining area, which it does sound like a former mining area, but I can't particularly place it off the top of my head. Coal carrying. I mean, it is quite popular, that sort of stuff. I mean, I think, isn't there a place in Lancashire that does sort of a black pudding flinging competition and all that sort of stuff? So, and there's a chocolate festival in certain places, and Burnley have a thing where you dress up as Nazis or whatever. Actually, that might not be true. They have some kind of World War II thing. So these things are popular, particularly in the north of England, perhaps a little bit more so. Coal carrying, but I think that's false. I don't think that's true. False.
No. Again, it's a real one, that one, Fisher. So yeah, this takes place in Gawthorpe each year, but obviously cancelled this year due to COVID. I used to go out with a girl actually who took part in this event. I
think that's quite implausible, Jimbo. False.
I did. I used to go out with a girl who used to compete in this event, but we fell out over a minor incident, and she gave me the cold shoulder.
Hey.
Next then, UK Tickling Championships in Nuneaton. Every year, competitors turn up to take part in tickling events. The main event is similar to that of Olympic wrestling, where you've got to successfully tickle your opponent out of the circle to win. There are also events for those who claim they can withstand tickling and avoid laughing for the longest, where spectators are allowed to join in with feathers, tickling sticks to try and make the competitors laugh.
Tickling sticks.
Does it tickle your fancy?
It does a little bit. Yeah, I was thinking that obviously tickling sticks was Ken Dodd's old thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe because Liverpool is the most heavily infected place in the UK, I think, in terms of COVID infections, and that was the first place to go into Tier 3 restrictions. And obviously they need to ensure they maintain social distancing. So I was thinking, obviously, they're doing the mass testing now in Liverpool, aren't they? The first place to get kind of mass testing. Anyone wants to test can get a test in Liverpool, irrespective of whether you've got symptoms or not. But I thought to maintain social distancing...
Yeah. Carry on.
Sorry. No, I was going to say, why don't they give everyone sort of a 2-metre long Ken Dodd-style tickling stick and make sure that they can use that to keep apart in Liverpool? That would be perfect for the particular location.
We did mention one of our earlier spoof adverts on this podcast was about poking social distancing sticks, and I think they've become a more popular thing now, haven't they? Even though we joked about it.
Actually, I don't think anyone uses one, or the joke itself.
No, I don't know if I've seen a few things like that mentioned or suggested.
All right.
So yeah.
Well done on being ahead of the times.
So what do you think then? Yes or no for tickling event? Is it real or is it fake?
What's the difference between a tickle and a sort of an assault? If John Leslie is watching this, like we mentioned earlier on, he might be able to throw a bit of light on that particular thing. So I think. No, I don't think that's true. I think it's too difficult to actually tickle someone and it keeping the rules of tickling. So I think it's false for that reason.
Well done, you are correct. It's not real, completely made up. But actually, tickling itself, if you Google it, there's professional ticklers and stuff like that abroad, elsewhere, where they've kind of got these weird things that they do. It's a bit hard to explain anyway, but have a look at it. But I used to go out with a professional tickler. I did. Another girlfriend of mine. She dumped me though. She said I wasn't sensitive enough. So anyway, next and the last one, World Custard Pie Championship takes place in Maidstone, Kent. The rules are simple. The teams are four are drawn against each other and score points depending on where their thrown pie hits a member of the opposing team. Every player must throw with their left hand, which I think sounds a bit unfair. If you are left-handed already. A full 6 points for a pie in the face, 3 points for one on the shoulder, and 1 point for on any other part of the body. A player who misses 3 times has points deducted.
Really? I think, as you say, it's quite unfair that you have to throw it left-handed. So particularly if you're left-handed, you've got a bit of advantage there. Custard pie throw. It sounds very British, that, doesn't it? Custard pie throwing. I mean, I imagine that's the kind of thing that we'd be well up for. So I think that even if it is in Kent, which is maybe a bit more sensible than up here, I'm going to say that's true. That could be true.
You can say it's true?
Yeah.
Well done, you got the last one correct. That is real, yeah. So there you go. And there's just some events that were cancelled due to COVID-19 and some others that I'd completely made up. But I probably could do this feature again maybe in a few weeks' time, but look at more international events as well, ones that have been cancelled in other places around the world. But I hope you enjoyed that. How did you find that one, Fisher?
Oh, very good. Thank you very much, Jimbo. Fantastic. I'm glad that the Waste of Web Space podcast hasn't been cancelled throughout this.
No worries. Well, we've kept going and we'll continue to do so for as long as we can. Now, though, a word from our sponsors. Do you suffer from election problems or electile dysfunction? Did you win an election by miles, but they carried on counting everyone's votes? Do you believe that all votes shouldn't be counted if it means you're going to lose? Was your horse winning at the races, but then it lost? So you should probably win because your horse was winning for a while. Was you winning at Monopoly, but then someone else got more hotels than you? Or people didn't want to stay at your shitty hotels anyway, so now you're losing? Was you winning at golf, but then you got distracted by the election news, so you probably ended up losing, but you should probably be entitled to win anyway? Have you had the Winner Takes It All on repeat by ABBA for the last 5 days, which means you should probably win, even if you lost? Then call us at soreloserslosing.com and we'll hook you up with a specialist. Without authority or the legal ability, we will take your court case straight to the Supreme Court. Or we will at least say we are. On to the news then, and just once again, it's worth pointing out that it's Remembrance Sunday, so we are thinking of those today, past, present, and future, of course. And I've got my Poppy.
Well, hopefully not future.
Hopefully not future, but
yeah.
there are ongoing things around the world, aren't there? So that kind of thing. But there you go. That's from Ada, who made me this at nursery.
Number one Fisher, Radio Web Space Podcast. Thank you.
Give her a shout, aren't we?
She's doing well. She even says thank you at the end of it for thanking us to listen to her.
Yeah. She'd probably do it a bit better nowadays as well, because that's probably about 6 months ago. So
yeah, get recording another one. See if you can do it in an impression, maybe like I sometimes do.
She does feature on the Ale and Audio podcast though, every now and again. So yeah, getting her ready to replace you on the Waste of Web Space podcast eventually.
I'm going to be on the Ale and Audio podcast next week, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay,
doesn't matter.
But anyway,
maybe get me an air on that.
That's Remembrance Sunday anyway.
Yeah. Obviously, we talked a lot about Remembrance Sunday, but during the wars, we stood up to these fascist right-wing dictators. But I don't want to talk about that anymore. Should we talk about Donald Trump?
Yeah, let's talk about him, shall we?
Yeah. He was up for election this week, and he either won or lost, depending on who you listen to. He lost if you consider who voted for him and who didn't vote for him. It turns out more people didn't vote for him than did vote for him. But nonetheless, he claimed it was in the lead at one point and therefore had won. So he claimed victory.
Even a matter of hours ago, he was saying, I won this election by miles, wasn't he?
By a lot. He tweets in capital letters. I mean, I think did he mention earlier in the podcast that they might have to take him kicking and screaming out of the White House?
Yeah, go on.
No, to which my answer is, yeah, please. It would be great to watch if he was there just sort of saying, I don't want to leave, and the two big men sort of just walking him out of there. It'd be brilliant. It'd be fantastic TV. Better than The Apprentice thing that he was on, that rubbish.
I mean,
and I suppose collectively the American public did say to him, you're fired.
It's funny, isn't it, because he in the past has complained about the electoral system in America and how it works, but he actually won the last election based on a system that he didn't agree with, didn't he? I think it was.
Well, more people voted last time for Hillary Clinton than voted for him.
Yeah.
And he still won.
Yeah.
Which to me shows a probably slightly flawed system, but there you go, that's the way it is. I mean, ours isn't perfect.
But this time, it's been the case that it's almost like he didn't get as many votes either, did he? As what Biden did. As far as I'm aware.
And this time he's lost.
And this time he's lost, and he's still not happy with that either.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth actually pointing out within this that Donald Trump did outperform the opinion polls and did actually do pretty well. I mean, when it came to looking at the states, I mean, he held Virginia, he held Georgia, he held Dakota, he held Carolina, but then he was kicked out of the strip club. But when it came to actually how well he actually did better than the poll suggested, and actually has done quite well. And for someone who isn't a politician, he's got a hell of a lot of votes. And I think, as he quite rightly tweeted, he got more votes than any sitting president ever has done in the past, with about 71 million. The slight problem was that Joe Biden got 74 million, which is more than Trump, and therefore won.
Still fails to understand how an election works.
Yeah, I mean, and credit given as well to Biden, who, at 74 million votes, he got more votes than George Washington, than Thomas Jefferson, than John Adams, than Abraham Lincoln, and then a lot of other people who went to school with as well. Which is quite a large amount. So
yeah, I mean, I got a bit confused the other day when it said something about Joe Biden approaching 270, and I was a bit like, oh, is he really that old? He doesn't look a day over 235, does he?
He doesn't, no. And to be fair, the Democrats put him up, and Trump said, even the Democrats, yeah, they are ruining. They've even named democracy after them. The Democrats. Hey, what's all that about? they got, and yeah, he was up there to basically win the election for the Democrats, and he's done that. Yeah. So how long he lasts, I don't know. He's potentially got 4 years, or he might be there till the end of his life. We don't know which is going to come faster. It is a mystery. But
there's a lot of people who will continue to praise Trump and be loyal, massively loyal Trump supporters, and possibly even go as far as saying he's one of the greatest presidents of all time. Now, for comedy value and for the people like us who do podcasts, that's certainly true. But in terms of actually being an American president, not really, because he's like one of very few presidents to only sit one term and also be impeached in the same time as well during that one term.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like a peach. He's been impeached. I mean, it's all... to be fair, I have actually got a quiz about American presidents, so maybe you can reserve your judgment on Trump until you've heard about what some of the other ones did.
Well, shall we move on then to our the next bits of news, which is I think I saw that the Queen's been in the news, hasn't she? She's been reunited with Prince Philip. And
oh, really? Well, I'm sorry to hear that. If Elizabeth II is watching, no, it's time. Tough enough without you having to spend time with Prince Philip. Well, I thought we'd moved away from talking about really old racists anyway.
I just need to point out that obviously if they've been reunited, then they've been obviously in separate households, so got to be quite strict on the no sex rules as well there, just to make that clear for I shouldn't be saying that, probably, should I? Off of my head. No. Anyway.
Well, actually, they can have sex, but just as long as it's outside.
Yeah, true.
I think it's the rules.
That'd be a sight. You have to get the corgis out of the way. Prince William, also, he's been in the news because he apparently had coronavirus, but kept it secret so not to worry everybody. I'm so real. I mean, I'd have been in pure panic if I'd have found out he'd have got coronavirus. Would you?
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, what if his fingers turn to sausages like his dad? I mean, who knows? But yeah, I mean, what would we have done? It was revealed that it found out that he had coronavirus.
You're breaking up a little bit, Fisher.
Maybe he'd only just found out. Oh right, sorry, Jimbo. But yeah, he found out that in April he'd had coronavirus.
Yeah.
Apparently, he got a notification from the Track and Trace app in September time. And, yeah.
Well, never mind. On to the next bit of news then. So, would you want to talk about free school meals? We've mentioned it a couple of times in our previous episodes. Marcus Rashford, of course, heading the campaign, and a lot of sort of councils and businesses and smaller organisations and small business and things like that around the country kind of been getting together basically to say, you know what, we don't care what the government says. We're going to support this free school meals thing anyway and do what we can in our communities because the government's obviously not going to help us out. Well, there's been a very quiet U-turn, hasn't there, again? In the last... Have I ruined your joke?
Yeah, I was about to say, you know what, Jimbo? I agree with what Boris Johnson said now I've thought about it. I think the government is doing enough, and their method of doing it, by pouring more money into universal credit, is actually a good thing. And my opinion has changed. I'm going to stick with what the government said. They shouldn't just bow to popular pressure and do what Marcus Rashford is telling them. They should stick to the guns. The MPs who we've voted for and we've elected have stood up and said, this is the way we're going to do things. Boris Johnson has demonstrated his strong, stable leadership and said, this is the way we're going to do it, and we're going to stick to that. And I back him 100%.
But yeah,
unfortunately, he's done a U-turn.
There's another U-turn, yeah.
Yeah. Never mind, eh? Just happened. It's not really been reported, has it? Because he just happens to have announced it just at the same time that Joe Biden got made president of the United States. I mean, what are the chances of that?
Yeah, very quietly done again. But I mean, does it make it all those MPs now who backed it look a bit stupid? You know, like the one that we mentioned, our very own MP, Miriam Cates, who decided she wanted to justify it by saying, well, I think there's a bigger issue with child poverty, one that needs to be approached in a different way. A longer-term strategy is needed. So therefore she voted against a shorter-term strategy to make sure that those children who need to be fed over the sort of holidays and Christmas and so on could get it. She voted against that. But now her own party, the one that she constantly toes the line for, have again done a U-turn on that. So what does it make those MPs look like now? Does that mean they were wrong?
Down the river, that's what it makes them look like.
Yeah.
And I do sort of feel a bit sorry for some of the MPs almost who probably personally maybe disagree with the stance that originally was being taken, but they were told to take it anyway, and then it's been U-turned back around. So yeah, it's ultimately a very good result. It means a lot of people ultimately won't go hungry during the school holidays. As I say, I think, as we've said before, it seems a very strange way of doing things that we are prepared to feed children, but only when they're in school and not bother when they're not at school. Yeah, we're happy to ensure these children don't go hungry, but only for 39 weeks of the year or whatever it is. So I think ultimately the result is probably the right one. I'm sure there are people out there who will be getting the benefit that maybe don't need it, and it's not necessarily always ensuring that the people who need it most are getting it. But I think that's a very difficult thing to do at times. It's a bit like we're wearing our poppies today, aren't we, Jim? Well, I'm wearing my poppy, and you sometimes hold up your poppy. And that's not to say that we think that every single soldier that's ever represented the UK Armed Forces was a good one, but nonetheless, the vast majority were. And once again, we'll do what we can to celebrate none of that. And it's similar in school meals that the vast majority of people who will be benefiting from this really are people who do need it.
And do you want to move on to some lighter news stories now? Then I think now we've covered the school dinners, Boris and the Queen and the royal family, updates for coronavirus. What about?
I'm not bothered about talking about any light news stories unless it involves a tram in Rotterdam that crashed off the end of a track and balanced on the top of a whale.
How did that even happen?
The tail of a whale platform. Yeah,
it's mad, isn't it?
It's a very strange. Do you think they built it with that in mind? If the tram crashes off the end of the track, then it'll just balance on this whale's fin. It's just that we've got at the end of the thing. It's
just an ornamental whale tail, isn't it? And there's two, and it managed to land on one of them, but perfectly. It's almost like it's just been designed perfectly to stop a train from going over the top, almost, isn't it? I mean, you know, thankfully nobody was hurt. I mean, passengers were heard wailing, but everyone's okay apparently. I think the train driver got taken to be checked out at hospital and stuff, but you think he's fine. So. Yeah.
I don't think there are actually any passengers on it. To be fair, I think it was just the driver, and I don't quite know why he drove straight through the crash barrier. Maybe just test it out. Maybe he thought, "Hey, what, I wonder if we can land. I wonder if we can park this train on the end of that whale." It turned out that it could. It's fast. Have you ever been to?
He maybe he thought it was a whaleway.
Hey. You've only been to Amsterdam once, I think, haven't you?
I have, yeah. You have to kind of get... if you go on the ferry, you have to go through Rotterdam, I think, to get... Or through part of Rotterdam to get to Amsterdam, don't you?
Yeah. It was in Rotterdam, not Amsterdam. I've been to Amsterdam sort of 3 or 4 times, I think, over the years. Very, very nice place to go. I've got a friend who used to live there who got married there last year.
I suppose it could have been Rotterdam, but then again, it could have been Liverpool or Rome. Maybe need to check that news story.
Yeah.
And just double check. Anyway, but back to news in this country. Did you see the pranksters in Swindon who'd broke into a closed down Debenhams store and had arranged some mannequins, old mannequins, in the shop window into sex positions so that people walking past through the high street could see these mannequins in sex positions posed in the window. So they had to basically go in and put screens up so that it didn't carry on happening, so people couldn't see through the windows and stuff, which I found quite amusing. I mean, you know, the pranksters were just having a bit of fun. They certainly turned a few heads of passers-by and the mannequins as well. And they said they just did it for Swindon Town Centre, really. It was just a display of affection. But yeah.
I think they should really give these people a big hand because the mannequins the wrist have been amputated, so they need to screw it back on, really, didn't they?
It's hard. It's difficult to blame the mannequins because you know they are known for being model citizens in Swindon Town Centre, so it's not fair to blame them. I don't think either.
So there we go. Is there anything else on the news, or can we should we move on?
Not really. I think we'll move on. The last thing I was going to talk about, which I won't mention really, apart from the headline, which is a police officer raiding a illegal cockfight got killed by a cock or a rooster. But I think we'll just leave it as a headline because it sounds quite amusing enough. And if people want to go and obviously it's unfortunate for the police officer, but an unusual one at the same time. But if you want to have a look into that, then have a look. You can Google that one for yourself. Are we moving on?
Yeah, let's move on.
So, welcome back. I don't know if you caught what happened there, Fisher.
It sounded like a phone rang then.
It
Someone
did.
ringing you.
It was my mum. Why she sometimes listens to this, so why she or watches this live. So why she would basically get in touch mid podcast, I'm not sure. But anyway, I might have to put myself in airplay mode or something like that. So.
Is it just the usual one where she wants to try and point out factual inaccuracy within the podcast? She decides to ring you up and tell you about it.
Yeah. Go on then, Fisher. You go with it while I tell her not to phone me back.
All right. Well, I'm assuming you're not ringing her back.
No.
So that's the joys of having your iPhone and iPad all connected up and playing the sounds through it, I suppose. So I've done a quiz about U.S. presidents. Obviously, we've all seen the news about Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and Joe Biden has obviously been elected. To be fair, he's done a good job of Biden his time. Yeah, thank you very much. I think as someone else did a joke as well. You know, Trump said, I'm leaving the White House, and Joe Biden said, Biden. But I thought I would do a quiz about the various things that have happened to US presidents over the years, because there has been. Do you know how many presidents there have been?
Biden is the 46th, isn't he? And
yes.
Yes, is that right? And I think, and now this is only because I'm getting quite good at this, because I was watching a film last night, you see. I was watching The Irishman. I don't know if you've seen that film before. It's a long film, so much so that
I haven't.
I haven't finished it. Features Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, I think's in it. Quite a few of the oldies anyway. They've on that kind of American-y, Italian-y sort of background. Really good so far. And I found out that President Kennedy was the 36th president.
All right.
So that's kind of. So I might have based on that. That might be useful maybe or not in this round. I'm not sure. We'll find out.
Well, we will find out. We will find out. Question 1. John F. Kennedy was which president of the United States? 35th or 36th?
Very funny.
Yes, very good. Well, actually, as I say, it's interesting that Joe Biden is the 46th president. However, the question asked was how many other people have been president before, and it's only he will be the 45th person to become president, because Grover Cleveland was president twice in non-consecutive terms. So Grover Cleveland is listed as both the 22nd and 24th president of America. Right, okay. Despite the fact that he is the same person. I'm just checking on Kennedy. He is... He's actually 35th president, not 36th, but yeah, never mind. You tried your best. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't. Anyway.
So I got it wrong.
So yeah, you were wrong in the first place.
What number was he?
35.
Oh, are you sure?
But, yeah, I've got it here in front of me.
Never mind.
Dwight Eisenhower 34, President Kennedy 35, Lyndon B. Johnson 36. But anyway, back onto the actual.
Oh yeah, I know why I've got it wrong now. Never mind. Obviously, I wasn't paying enough attention. Yeah.
So, what did the second US President, John Adams, and the third US President, Thomas Jefferson, do on the 4th of July, 1826, the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence? Is it they performed in a play in Washington called The Life of a President, which was a satire about living in the White House, or they both died?
On the same day?
On the same day that was exactly 50 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
And these were obviously retired, obviously.
Yeah, both former presidents. They both finished quite some time beforehand.
I'm sure I remember something about a play that featured some of the presidents, and it was kind of a bit of a jokey sort of thing. But I don't know if you put that in there to throw me. So I'm I'm going to go with the unusual one that they both happen to die on the same day.
Which also happens to be 50 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence that Presidents 2 and 3 of America died on that day.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd be right. Well done. So apparently 3 presidents have apparently died on Independence Day.
That's mad.
And only one of them has been born. It's quite a lot, really. I mean, it's only been 46 president, Joe Biden. Joe Biden obviously died a few years ago. Not on Independence Day. So out of the, I think, there's not many presidents that are still living, is there? There's Biden, obviously, we think. Trump. Obama, Clinton, George W. Bush, and Jimmy Carter, I think, still alive. Do you know, by the way, that Bill Clinton is younger than both Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and he was elected 28 years ago?
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
very young
quite an
president.
interesting fact,
Then,
I thought. So 6 presidents still alive. So 40 of them have died, and 3 of them have died on Independence Day, which is quite unlikely odds, you would have thought. So, yeah, they both died. Apparently, John Adams was the second president. Thomas Jefferson was John Adams as vice president. They fell out later on as political allegiances changed as things went on. But John Adams, on his deathbed, apparently said, "I can't believe Thomas Jefferson has outlived me," not realising that apparently Thomas Jefferson died about 2 hours before him.
All right.
So there we go. Next up, 9th president, William Henry Harrison. What did he do at his inauguration? Is it he didn't wear a coat, leading to him to catch pneumonia and died less than a month later? Or he fell over, breaking his leg. The injury was operated on, but went septic, and his leg was amputated a few weeks later.
So this would have been while he was president then?
While he was president, yeah. So this the whole thing centred around something.
What was his name again?
Happened at his inauguration wasn't that well attended because obviously the most popular inauguration happened in January 2017 when someone called President Trump was inaugurated. It was the most well attended event ever.
Is that according to him or is that the truth?
That's according to him.
Oh, right,
photographic evidence of his inauguration and Barack Obama's were very, very different, but told a very different story. So 9th President William Henry Harrison. What happened at his inauguration? He didn't wear a coat, leading to him to catch pneumonia, and he died less than a month later. Or he fell over, broke his leg, the injury was operated on, went septic, and his leg was amputated a few weeks later.
So was there a president who had one leg basically? Is a thing as well. I think it might be the first one because I think I have looked in the past. I don't know why, but how many presidents were either killed or died while in office? And I know that there was a few early, in the early days, lot further, but not a lot earlier on in history. So I'm going to go with the first one.
First one, they didn't wear a coat and got pneumonia?
Yeah.
Correct, well done. Well done, congratulations. Next up, 10th President John Tyler. How was he described by the New York Times when he died? Was it the most unpopular public man that has ever held office in the United States? Obviously, correct at the time of printing. Or was it the most corrupt president to grace our fine nation?
Obviously.
Again, correct at the time of printing.
Correct.
So was he the most unpopular man that has ever held office in the United States, or the most corrupt president to grace our fine nation?
At least if that paper's still going, they haven't had to do much work, have they? They've just been able to sort of recycle their old news stories or headlines. Well, I suppose.
Print out the one from 1856 again. We'll be fine.
But this is on the death of that president, is that right?
That is on the death of the president, yes.
So, both not particularly nice things to say in an obituary.
Yes, indeed. Obviously, I'm assuming he wasn't a particularly very popular bloke. But
let's go with the second one this time. The corruption.
The most corrupt president to grace our fine nation. No, that's wrong, unfortunately.
They had no idea what was to come.
Exactly. I mean, to be fair, actually reading some of the stuff about some of the previous presidents of America, there is quite a lot of strange things that have happened over the years. So maybe we have been lucky in the past sort of 30 or 40 years, Trump aside. I mean, you remember years ago when everyone used to tease George Bush about being George W. Bush about being stupid.
Yeah.
You know, it's nowhere near Trump in that respect.
No.
Is he? I mean, some of the things he comes out with.
I mean, this is speaking early as well, because obviously there are potential things that could shed light on other presidential terms that might come out later on in the news and so on. Who knows what might happen? You never know.
I would quite like this election to end with. Yeah, they've not counted all the votes yet. I'd love it if Trump actually got himself into a position where he won. However, because he's taken legal action to force recounts, he recounted it, and it turned out that Biden had actually got more votes, so he ends up winning because Trump forced the recount. That's what I'd like to happen. But I don't think that is going to happen, unfortunately. So next up, 16th President Abraham Lincoln. What did he do a few hours before he died? Was it open Washington, D.C.'s first police station, or create the Secret Service?
Well, it'd be interesting if it was create the Secret Service, because had he created it a little bit earlier, perhaps he would have survived.
Not being killed at the theatre.
Not being killed at the theatre. So you're saying that a few hours before he was either at the theatre, he was either at a police station opening it, again, which, you know, if the police station had been open earlier,
yeah,
who knows? He might not have been sat there having cakes and champagne or whatever. And then he went to the theatre, and then he was shot, wasn't he? So, let's go.
Or was it option 3? He said, "Nah, I don't need a bulletproof vest. I'm fine." Or option 4, someone said to him, "Just hold this bomb for us, will you, for a few minutes, Abraham?"
I'm gonna go with the second one, and he created the Secret Service.
Create the Secret Service. You'll be correct. Well done.
Is that kind of what's known as the? Is that still? Is the Secret Service still a thing? Is it known as? What is it known? Is it either the FBI or is it?
I believe the Secret Service is actually nowadays responsible for protecting the president.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
However, when he created the secret, he signed an executive order to create the Secret Service literally hours before he died. I think it was actually originally designed to prevent money laundering and that kind of financial crime, as opposed to actually protecting the president as it is used now, apparently. So next up, 17th President Andrew Johnson. What are his academic credentials? Is it he was a founding member of Mensa, the organisation for people with high IQs? Or is it he's not actually that clever and had no formal education?
Oh.
I mean, imagine a president who'd had no formal education who was incredibly stupid.
Again, this could be one of these that makes Trump look actually not too bad. I'm guessing maybe. But how was he as a president, Andrew Johnson? And what kind of rating did he get?
Oh well, it was incredibly clever. Oh, I don't know. I know very little about him other than that his name's Andrew Johnson. He's 17th president of America, and he appeared on a list of interesting facts of things about presidents.
So he was after Abraham Lincoln, is that right?
He was the one after Abraham Lincoln, yes.
And I reckon in those days, I mean, obviously education wasn't probably as accessible, but I reckon that the elite at the top who would have been in control of, you know, countries and politics and stuff like that, they would have had second in commands ready to go who might have had quite a decent education and so on. So I'm going to say that actually he was really clever. Mensa.
You're wrong. He actually had no formal education. His wife taught him to read and write. I think at a young age his mum forced him and his brother to basically start working and not go to school. But he managed to work his way up to president. I assume he assumed presidency upon Abraham Lincoln being shot and killed. Mm-hmm. Perhaps it was him that shot him just to make sure he got the job. You
never know. His friend might have tampered with his science experiment and set him on fire or something like that.
Could have done, yeah. Could have dampened his enthusiasm for education all the way along the lines.
So you could be Prime Minister one day, Fisher?
I think that's very unlikely. He didn't go to a good enough school or university.
You didn't go to Eton?
I didn't go to Eton, no, unfortunately not. Next up, what did lavish 21st President Chester Arthur do every single day? Is it have fresh flowers ordered and they were placed in front of the portrait of his deceased wife? Or have a violinist play the national anthem every morning as he entered the Oval Office.
And who was this, sorry?
This is the 21st President, Chester Arthur.
Do you have any details of whether they were Republican or Democrat?
I can find those out, yes, if you bear with me one moment. What number was he? 21st, did I say?
Did you say
Chester A. Arthur? Chester A. Arthur, he's a Republican. He was originally Vice President to James Garfield, and he was president from 1881 to 1885.
I'm going to say then that he played the national anthem, got a violinist to play the national anthem every time he walked into the Oval Office every morning or whatever it were.
You'll be incorrect, unfortunately. He had fresh powers. Next up, 26th President Theodore Roosevelt. What happened after he was shot in 1912? Is it he took the time to tell people not to be too angry with the shooter, who was probably a misguided young man? Like obviously a lot of presidents, they refer to white shooters as being mentally ill. Or did he continue to give his planned speech before going to hospital?
And what was Roosevelt?
Theodore Roosevelt was the 26th president, and I believe the Teddy is named after him. Is that right?
And was he Democrat?
Was he Democrat or Republican? Theodore Roosevelt was a Republican as well.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to say then, who was the one who agreed to the bombing of Hiroshima, or sort of gave the command? Hiroshima, was it? It was
would be
Pearl
the
Harbor.
person who was in charge during World War II. That was it Franklin D. Roosevelt, I think.
Not sure.
Who was in charge during World War II? Yeah, I think Franklin D. Roosevelt. Actually, no, it's probably Harry S. Truman who took out over towards the end of World War II.
Okay.
I think.
Right, let's go with the.
What's that got to do with anything?
I don't know. I just wondered. Just.
Oh.
Is it the one that he continued his speech?
Yes, you're right. He continued his speech.
Just as I expect you to continue this podcast, should you get shot, or should your mother try to phone about a coat that she's seen in Asda for your 3-year-old daughter, you should carry on the podcast. It's more important.
Okay, well, it's a good job that it's getting our podcast potentially is getting stopped for such important issues. I mean, I would have thought, I don't know for certain, but I think your daughter has already got a coat, has she not?
She's got a coat, yeah.
Has she? Okay.
No immediate danger to the warmth of the child.
Yeah. I mean, is Ada's coat waterproof?
Should be.
Because it can get wet as well, so it's not about how warm she is.
My mum used to make me wear these coats, wax jackets. They were horrible. You could hardly move. They just felt horrible, but they were really repellent to rain. But yeah, I dread thinking of those wax jackets. One of the worst things I've ever had to wear in my life ever. I don't mind saying that.
Right, posh lad's jacket, that a wax jacket, isn't it? You get your Yorkshire flat cap on like as well with it. I think perfect for it. So I just have that just next to me just in case. Never know, might need your flat cap. So yeah, there was a bit of truth actually in the false one there, because 25th President William McKinley was shot and took the time to tell people that the shooter was probably a misguided young man.
Right. Okay.
And he died slightly afterwards.
Who did?
So next up, William McKinley.
Oh right.
He was a president who was assassinated. So next up, 27th President and noted fatty William Taft was allegedly that fat that he once got stuck in a bathtub. Well, this is not true. However, how did he once embarrass himself at a dinner in New Jersey? Is it he was at dinner and he had 3 chairs buckle under his weight? Or he had a bath and the water displaced from him getting into the bath, dropped onto the floor, which then soaked through the ceiling and rained on diners who were in the room below.
So you're saying that he got in the bath broke basically, and then the water leaked through to people below.
Yeah, because it was that fat, water came over the top of it. Was it Archimedes, the Greek fella who got in the bath naked and realised that sort of as he got in the bath, the same amount of water was displaced as him getting in, then ran through the streets naked telling people about this. Is that right, or imagine that?
That's when it was first discovered?
Well, yeah.
Right.
He noted that. I don't know what people thought before that.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Isaac Newton discovering gravity. It's always been there.
Yeah.
I mean, no one else had an apple fall in front, I think. What's all that about? Why didn't it just float away somewhere? Why is he that clever? Yeah. So he either got in a bathtub, loads of water came out, and went on the floor, and it dripped through the ceiling and covered some people who were in the room below.
Or an event he had 3 chairs buckle under his weight.
3 chairs buckled under his weight, and they kept getting replaced.
Because it was rumoured about the bathtub getting stuck in the bathtub, I reckon there's probably that's where the confusion was, and actually there was a story involving a bathtub. So I reckon it's that one.
Okay. Or is it option 3? He once appeared in Last of the Summer Wine and went down the side of the hill on a bathtub. You are right. He was in a bathtub. Walked down over the side.
Was that before they started to build in overflow hole things?
I don't know, really. You'd have thought he would know how big he was and make sure he didn't do that, but never mind. Because surely when you get in the bath, you sort of stand in it first and slowly lower yourself in as opposed to just jump in and letting all the water go everywhere. I don't know. Next up, Franklin D. Roosevelt was the 32nd president of America, and quite an interesting fellow, it's fair to say. What is true about him? He was paralysed from the waist down with limited mobility, but he underplayed it. When giving speeches, he had to hold the lectern with both hands to make sure he didn't fall over. Or he was practically blind, being totally blind in one eye and over 50% blind in the other eye. He had to be led everywhere with an aide describing what was happening to him.
Okay, so he was paralysed from the waist down, and he kind of tried to hide it and stand at the lectern and hold on tight and things like that. Or he was blind and he had to be sort of guided around a lot and stuff like that. Let's go with the first one. I think I'm going to go with the first one.
That he was paralysed and had limited mobility. You'd be correct. Well done. Apparently there was a lot of effort made to make sure that no one ever really saw him turn up or leave an event. He was just kind of always there. And because obviously he has to have people close to him anyway, like security and all that sort of stuff, he would always kind of like be holding on to one of them. But if he gave a speech, sort of a lectern, he had to kind of like hold the lectern with both hands, which made it very difficult because he couldn't really sort of gesture and all that sort of stuff. So he managed to do that, and sort of, I think people knew he struggled a bit for mobility, but he kind of underplayed it quite a lot. So, for example, if he turned up somewhere by car, he would make sure they got out round the corner and kind of walked around because it was very difficult for him to get in and out of the car, for example. Apparently. In terms of him being blind, I actually sort of stole this a little bit, it's fair to say, for an episode of Jonathan Creek, where... did you ever watch Jonathan Creek?
Yeah, the detective-y programme.
Yeah, where the Jonathan Creek, I think, is a magician's assistant and knows about how the crimes take place now, how the tricks occur and whatever. And I think there was a fashion designer on that who was blind, but they tried to not let anyone know that he was blind. And he said, I associated him with Franklin D. Roosevelt, who was paralysed and no one knew about it. That's where I got my idea for that one from. So staying on Franklin D. Roosevelt, who did he marry? Did he marry Eleanor Roosevelt? They were distant cousins, and she was the niece of Theodore Roosevelt and didn't change her name when she got married. Or Eleanor Kennedy. She was the auntie of John F. Kennedy.
Oh, right, okay. So this would have been... So, before Kennedy came into...
Before Kennedy was shot, yeah.
Yeah, so before he became president.
Came to power and was shot, yeah.
All right, then let's go with that one, then.
Auntie of President Kennedy?
Yep.
No. He married Eleanor Roosevelt and she didn't change her name.
What, from Roosevelt to Roosevelt?
Didn't change it from Roosevelt. Well, she might change it from Roosevelt to Roosevelt, but no one noticed because it was the same as what it was before.
Yeah, I do know somebody who did marry someone with the same surname, but not related, so,
yes.
Yeah.
Did you see that someone called White and someone called Christmas got married this week?
No.
Did you not? Yeah. They ended up with a double vowel surname. Guess what it was?
White Christmas.
White Christmas. Yes. Although they didn't get married on the 25th of December. But they also did, interestingly, get married in a Roman baths.
Right.
That's where the Roman baths were.
Okay. Where were the Roman baths? Were they in... They weren't in Jerusalem or Bethlehem?
No, they got married in the UK.
All right.
They got married in the Roman baths in Bath.
All right, fair enough, yeah.
So, a very unusual wedding. Apart from the name and the location. So next up, which is true about Franklin D. Roosevelt's wedding? Is it was held on the 4th of July, as they wanted to show that there were 3 of them in the marriage, Franklin, Eleanor, and the greatest nation in the world? Or, it was held on the 17th of March, as they knew President Theodore Roosevelt would be able to give away his niece as he was in town for the St. Patrick's Day celebrations.
All right, okay. Well, presidents are very busy, so if they can kind of combine the schedules a little bit, then that kind of makes sense. But I reckon he might have been quite patriotic, so I'm going to go with the first one.
On the 4th of July? Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But you'd be wrong.
Oh.
Their wedding was held on the 4th of July. On the 17th of March. They knew that President Theodore Roosevelt would be in town for St. Patrick's Day. Obviously, I think St. Patrick's Day is quite...
Popular in America, isn't it?
Yeah, very popular in America.
Well, they have a lot of sort of Irish descendants, don't they, and so on.
Yeah, I think Kennedy's were Irish, or Irish descendancy. I think Biden is as well. Got quite strong Irish roots, hasn't he? I believe.
I think so, yeah.
So the final question, also on President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who led a relatively interesting life, and there's quite a lot of unusual bits about him, so I've got a few questions for him. And also, he won 4... He was elected 4 times, I think, wasn't he?
Right, okay.
Changed rules after him just to make sure they couldn't have a president for longer than 2 terms, because he won 4 elections. So at the time of his wife Eleanor's death, what was true? Was it that their marriage lasted 74 years, which is not only the longest of any president and first lady, but was also one of the longest in American history? Or he was a serial adulterer and is suspected of having affairs with at least 4 other women?
So the first one was what again, sorry?
That their marriage lasted 74 years, which is not only the longest of any president and first lady, but also one of the longest in American history. Or that he effectively just shagged around all over the place.
I reckon it was the first one, and I think that might have been one of the reasons he could have been quite popular, because I think, traditionalists and people who kind of, like people just really liked him as a person and all that kind of thing. And yeah, so let's go with that.
Well, it makes sense, because let's be honest, someone who's practically paralysed from the waist down wouldn't be able to shag around all over the place, would he?
True.
Except he would.
Oh, right, okay.
Is that... I mean, if you look on his Wikipedia page, there is a section called Marriage, Family and Affairs.
Right, okay.
No, there's quite a lot of them here. It's...
Maybe that's why he had so many votes and won so many elections. Maybe he'd been around that much that he'd managed to persuade everyone to vote for him.
Yeah, he had several extramarital affairs, including his wife's social secretary, Lucy Mercer, who he hired in 1914, and she found some correspondence in his luggage that indicated they're having an affair. They actually had a breakup, I think, at one point, and she moved out and moved to a New York City apartment. He said he wouldn't have an affair, but then he had another one. I can't quite remember who that was with. It doesn't say on here. One of his sons, Elliot, claimed that he'd had an affair with a 20-year-old private secretary, Margaret Missy Lahand. Another son, James, said there was a real chance of a romantic relationship between his father and the Crown Princess Martha of Norway.
All right, okay.
Who resided in the warehouse for part of Second World War II.
No way, I don't believe that.
That's what it says. That's what it says on the internet. So it must be true. Aides began to refer to it at the time as the president's girlfriend.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a fair few women there who he got quite intimate with by the sounds of it, which makes Donald Trump maybe sound a little bit more palatable than some of the ones that have been going in the past.
Brilliant.
But there we go. So that's that was the last question there, Jimbo. I think you did quite well on that quiz. So well done.
Yeah, thank you very much. I feel like I've learned a lot more about former American presidents as well, and we'll see how this next presidency goes, shall we?
Yes, we did. Franklin D. Roosevelt did actually comment on the allegations, and he said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
I think what we're going to have to do is when Trump actually is no longer official president, we will have to have some sort of like funeral for the times that he has given us on the Waste of Web Space podcast and the features and the sort of jokes that he's given us and everything, and of course our special sound effects as well.
Yeah.
We might have to have a funeral for the sound effect or something. I'm sure he'll still be making noise long after he's president, though. Anyway, so
yeah. Hey, you can't make much noise when you're in jail, though, Jimbo.
Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much all we've got time for. It's been a long episode again, but never mind. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for listening. Of course, you can get in touch with us in usual ways. Just before we go, I thought I'd mention we did a bit of a poll, didn't we, on our Twitter account? Because of course it was Bonfire Night this week, Guy Fawkes Night, or whatever, and I wanted to find out what people thought of what effigy they might have as a Guy Fawkes or an effigy to burn on Bonfire Night, because there's I didn't mention this earlier in the feature actually that I did, but is it Lewes, is it, who normally have this sort of bonfire festival each year?
Yeah, they burn a baddie kind of thing, don't they? Yeah,
and in the past it's been like Jacob Rees-Mogg was there last year and they got him on the bench at Westminster and everything like that, and then they've done Boris Johnson, Theresa May, I think Bin Laden's been there in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump had already been one as well, and various other famous people over the years, largely politicians. But I was wondering who might take that role this year. So the options were Boris Johnson, Keir Starmer. Kind of added him in there because of the kind of obviously he's now Labour leader, but obviously sort of what did he do? He sort of suspended Jeremy Corbyn recently, which has caused a bit of a stir, hasn't it, among Labour members and Labour supporters, and some people agree, some people don't. Then you've got Dominic Cummings, of course, for his Barnard Castle incident and basically all that kind of thing, and then of course Donald Trump as well.
Dominic Cummings unfortunately wasn't available to be burnt because he pissed off unfortunately to his mum and dad's house.
But actually, Dominic Cummings took it home and took the win, and he got 55% of the vote. Boris Johnson closely behind on not closely, but behind on 36. Donald Trump, Keir Starmer didn't get any votes. Donald Trump was on 9%, but Donald Trump's got in touch. He said he wanted the vote to stop him when he was in the lead. He was in the lead at some point, so he should have won this vote as well. But anyway.
Yeah, Keir Starmer got no votes. Obviously, something they might get used to in the future. Who knows? But there we go. Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for listening. You can check us out Instagram, Waste of Web Space, Facebook and Twitter the same, Waste of Web Space, wasteofwebspace.co.uk if you want to look at his website. Plenty of ways to get in touch. If you want to shout out in the next episode or you want to get involved in any way, then please do. Thank you very much, Fisher.
Yep, thank you very much, Jimbo. Very good. We'll see you again next Sunday. I think we're probably moving back to weekly podcasts during the lockdown. Something to look forward to, so we will see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Just to finish with as well, we had I didn't see it, but Dom got in touch to say, Dom, who's previously appeared on our podcast.
Yeah.
He got in touch to say hello, and then he says he loved Jonathan Creek, and I thought it was just you, Fisher. So there you go. You've got a fellow. Maybe you could get together with Dom and organise a Jonathan Creek quiz or something like that.
Yeah, next time it's Jimbo versus Fisher. Subject has to be Jonathan Creek. I think we know who's going to win that one.
See you later.
See ya. Bye bye.